This is part 2 of Ashley Campusano's interview. If you missed part 1, be sure to go back and check it out.
All right, let's move on to our next segment, marketing and monetization methods, where we explore how to make money as a creator. All right, so take me back to your freelance career. We talked about it a little bit about how you worked on referrals, but when you were a freelancer, how did you bill? Hourly, retainer, royalty, or by project? How did you bill as a freelancer?
Kind of felt like a mix up because I wasn't too sure which one I wanted to stick with. So I'd done hourly, but in a way that it was like kind of like a set amount of time. This was like also before I knew about my ADHD. When I was doing it hourly, I was like, okay, if they're giving me a certain amount of deliverables, I would say that it would take about this amount of time. Like this is the kind of block you can fit this stuff in, and you're just paying for this block of time, kind of thing. So it's almost like kind of like package / hourly deal. And then later on, later on I started like just doing like packages. So it's like, okay, this is just how much. This is just how much it is. Because I didn't even have stamp packages. Because I'm like, I didn't even know when I wanted to put in a package. Like I did have a social media package at one point. So it was a social media coaching package actually. And it was like actually really cool. You know, a lot of people will be like, oh, like if you haven't done it yourself, right, that you don't know how to help other people do it. And I'm like, this is completely false. Like, would you feel more comfortable? Probably, yeah. But it's like, you could still know the best practices. You could still know exactly what works, but you just know it's not right for you. Like, you just don't want to do it, right? I'm just not that invested in social media to do it myself. I'm just not. But if someone else wants to, I can get you there, right? I can tell you how to make the pillars.
Let's talk about that, though. So how do you exude authority and credibility? How do you convince a client to pay you to coach them on something you haven't done? That sounds really tricky. How do you do that?
It's just like you would do like research with any other thing. You just see what's working, right? Because it's like, it's not super hard to find like what's working. If you're able to pick up on patterns, it's like, okay, like, cause you can honestly like, okay, it was when it was like this, there was like less likes, there was less impressions, there was less comments. But then I'm like, okay, they're talking in this way. They're doing something like this. They're posting it like this. And I'm like, these are working more for their audience base. But yeah, like that's honestly just pretty much it. You just research what's working. After they tell you like all about their audience and what they're doing, you just find like, adjacent, people who are doing that thing, who are already successfully doing that thing. And you just kind of like, you put a spin off of what they're already doing. And then literally all business owners do. They're all doing.
Yeah, how do you convince them, though, the client, that your advice is correct if you're not doing a lot of social media yourself? Like this is just an example. So you're selling a social media coaching package, but say you yourself don't do a lot of social media because it's just not for you. You just don't like it. How do you convince them you know what you're doing and your advice is worth paying for?
So the only person I did it for, it was a pretty easy. And no, she was great. I love her so much. All we really needed to do was get her from like kind of like superficial posting, because she wasn't like a wordy person like that, to just having much more personal, intimate posting. So it was more like, to be honest, it was more like coaching her and being more comfortable in being herself on social media. So it was an easy sell from that, because that was really the main point of it. Because she's a personal brand. And, so I was just helping her get there, but just using the best practices. I was like, okay, let's, she was really into fashion. I'm like, take some pictures of your face, of you, put yourself out there, talk about your actual ideals, talk about the things that you actually believe in, that your audience base is going to care about and they're going to believe in. And it worked. She sent me a picture of it. It was her Facebook and Instagram. She sent me a picture. She's like, that first picture, that the first thing that she did, the first post that she did, got like over 1,000 people, like 1,000 reach on Facebook. And she was like, she's never seen that kind of reach before, ever, since, before we were working together. Honestly, you could just like, and it was a very like low price point, right? That's another thing. I took into account like my actual like skill for it, right? I was like, it was 1 hour of social media copy coaching, really, and 5 Facebook posts, like long, like 5 long form posts that if she wanted, she could post them as is, take pieces of them, shorten it down if she wanted to. But like she has like a thing to work off of, a concept to work off of. So she could have made a million pieces of content just from one post if she could find like the ideas in it. And I think I only charge like $300 or something.
Oh wow, that is a steal. Okay, so that is how you convince them to buy, because that's a deal.
You know, like I definitely wouldn't feel, personally, I know people probably out there do that, but I personally wouldn't feel comfortable charging a super absorbent amount of money for a project that I haven't done before that reap rewards, right? Like now, like for the product descriptions I did before, I did them at like a fairly low price point. Like it was like $3K, but like because it was like so many, right? It was like 100 of them weren't easy to write, and they weren't super short either. But like now, depending on what I'm writing about, and because I know I can do it, right? I probably wouldn't write a product description for like less than $40 a pop or $50 a pop.
And how much?
Because because they've already like got the results from it.
Yeah, and what do you charge for copy coaching these days, since you have so much experience with that?
Well, if I were to do it again, I believe I had it at like when I had the time. I think on my website I have it as either 150 or 200. I'm pretty sure it's 150 because I'm always modest with everything I do.
And what is that for an hour?
It's at yeah.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah. So I try to make sure like to just have all the information I need from them so that it's the most like useful hour possible. Like we're getting as much into this as possible. So if you're like, say you wanted to stop your coaching for like a sales page you're doing, we're working on that sales page inside and out, and we're gonna touch the points that like really matter to get it as much in there as possible.
And so this is actually really useful. Like, I don't want people to misconstrue what I say as undercharge, but I like how you started with, okay, this is my experience. This is what I'll charge. I'll get more results and experience. Then I'll charge more. And I was just reading a blog post about this. I'm going to butcher her name, so I won't even try to say it. But a woman who started marketing consulting, and she tried to start really expensive, and people are like, whoa, that's a bit much. So she started lower, got some more results, then charged more. I feel like there's a lot of information in the marketing space and copy space that says charge like a ton straight out of the gate. And that breeds imposter syndrome within you. And it's harder to do your discovery calls when you're like, I'm charging like $1 gazillion, but I don't have $1 gazillion worth of results. So I just like how you started small and grew.
But no, you're like, I try to tell people like, you know, you got people like charge your worth, and I'm like, I understand that. But really what it comes down to, you just need to charge what it would be worth it to you to do, right? If it would be worth it for you to do it at the price point you want to put it, that's the perfectly fine price point, right? I would be fine doing like if it's for an industry that I like know like the back of my hand and it wouldn't take me long, I would be okay with like $50 an email if I knew they can make that money in spades, right?
Oh, see, we're a little different. Yeah. Like, even if it's an industry I love or could do easily, I would not be writing it for $50 an email. It would have to be like for saving some baby dolphins or some starving kids or something. If it's like charity, maybe. And it's like,
it would be more if I was like still freelancing, but because I just have the full in-house, like I have the in-house position now, like I just like, yeah, like I feel like even like my copy makeover, like with everything that's in there, I could probably easily have it at 500. And I'm just like, I like helping people. And I don't really need the money like that so much. I'm just like, y'all can get it at this price point right now.
Oh, see, you're great. You're more altruistic than me. Because like, yeah, it has to be, even if it's something like I know well, if I know they could get value out of it, it's got to be enough to get me out of bed. And also my neurodiversity helps me to charge more. Some people have trouble charging more because like they just feel better or whatever, but I have to work so hard because of my ADD brain. So I'm like, oh, I need to be compensated for this pain I'm gonna go through to get myself to focus. But I love your take. I think that more businesses should operate like you for sure.
And so I also wanted to like, because it's like right now this is like my second copy makeover, like right, it's still fairly a new service. I want to get a lot more refined. I want it to be much more refined. I want it to be the best it could possibly be. And once I feel like it's gotten to that point, because right now it's super bare bones, but it doesn't really need the bells and whistles. It's more like a structural thing than anything. But like, I want to know how I can make this as good as it can get and then price it based off of that. Cause like, I want to just start it off at where I was comfortable at because I know it's new. It's a new service, right? I put it together fairly like quickly, but it's all things that I know how to do. But because it's like, it's not, I want it to be like a nice standardized thing before I feel like even comfortable, like raising the price on that. Cause then it's like, I don't want to feel like I'm gypping people. I don't.
Yeah, that causes anxiety when it's priced too high and you feel like you're ripping people off. That for me anyway, it causes anxiety. So I definitely would not want to do that either.
And I always feel like it's always like, it's great if someone's like, I just feel like if you charge a lot, like if it's the type of person you charge a lot and you under deliver, it's hell of a lot worse than if you charge under and over deliver. Right? Because if you over deliver and they want to work with you again, the time you want to raise your rates, they're gonna understand why you're raising your rates. They're not gonna have to bat an eye about you raising your rates. It's like, nah, you did your thing. Like, I get it. Like, if I can afford it, I will do it. But if I can't, I'm gonna let you know. But I ain't gonna be mad though. Like, you did the thing, so you're worth this money that you're wanting to raise it to. I see it.
Yeah,
You know
see,
what I
the
mean?
way I always got around it too, though, like there's a lot of solopreneurs I love working with, and I work with a lot of them, but I started going for people who had deeper pockets and who had more to win from the copy. Like, let's say if somebody had a list of, I don't know, 3,000, 5,000 people, you send out an email, even if it does well, they're only going to make so much money. But if you go to somebody with a list of like 200,000 people and your product costs a lot, you send out an email, they're going to make a lot. So if I charge like, quote, a lot, it's not like a lot out of their pocket based on what they got and what they can afford. So that's how I always got around being able to charge.
Cheryl mentioned that. She was like, the rule of thumb is to charge no more. I think it was like 10% of what they can realistically make back.
I like
so that this way, if it doesn't work as great as you want it to, then it's like, okay, it just pays for itself, right? It just cancels out. And it's like, well, it was a dud, whatever, but they're not losing out on money.
Yes,
right?
I like that.
Like say they're looking to make 100K from email marketing, but right now they're making like 30K, right? You can probably realistically charge them 5K. And, for emails, they're going to make that back. Is it the number they want? No. But like, if it ends up being done, they still made their money back. Like, you know what I mean? They made their money back and probably a little bit over. You know what I'm saying? But if you charge over what like a nice baseline of what you know you can perform, and they're like, why is it that we paid you 30K, but we only made back 10K from your email? Like, that's,
ooh, that would suck.
That's, it's going to look some type of way. It's not going to make sense for them at all. So it's like, if you charge 10% of like what they could realistically make back, it's like, all right, like what's 10% of your like usual profits right now? You could charge that. You could charge that because you're probably going to make it back anyway within that first turnaround. So you're either going to negate it or have better results. It's super unlikely for you to underperform than what they're doing already, right? If you're good at what you do, you're either going to do the same that they're doing or better.
Yeah, I want to highlight that. That's a super juicy like rule of thumb because so many people have trouble with pricing. So figure out what your prospect anticipates in profit, like their realistic one. You can ask them, what is your pie in the sky goal? And then what is their realistic or like bottom base minimum goal? And then price yourself at 10% of your base realistic bare minimum goal. And there you go. And you don't have to have your imposter syndrome. You don't have to be sweating and all of that stuff. But then you also know you're not undercharging. So actually, I love that. That is a really great formula. And let's go back to your freelancing, and then I'll come back to copy coaching. I want to know how you got your first client in each. I know your first copy coaching job was like a contract job, but actually, since I'm talking about copy coaching, let's just go into that first. With your copy makeover, how did you get your first client for that?
Essentially, it's actually a terrible story. I like that. So she found me on Facebook. And I feel like this probably happens to like some people who like make their first. This is like my first my first real. She found me on Facebook, and everything was going great. But I guess the way certain wording on my sales page for it, the expectations weren't exactly the same,
Mm-hmm.
right? So I tried to make it clear that, because I was trying to use Acuity to make it easier just for people to just schedule themselves to block off time or whatever and pay like immediately at the same time. But what ended up happening was she bought the thing through Acuity, paid the $297 because you had to block off the time, which is what was my entire point, right? I just wanted you to be able to block off to book it in there. But the time itself didn't matter. You just needed to book it in there. So I know from this date where it's 7 days that you're going to get your thing from. But in her mind, she assumed that because there was a time connected to it, that we were going to have like an in-person meeting about it.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess I didn't make that clear on the sales page before then that it wasn't a meeting. It was just a book time on my calendar to put towards doing your copy makeover.
Mm-hmm.
So when I didn't show up for this meeting that she thought she had scheduled, to her it felt like I probably scammed her out of money. She's like, "Well, you never showed up," and I'm like looking at her like, "I'm not exactly sure what you mean." And I'm like,
Oh, and
now I
to
see the
clarify,
disconnect.
what is the deliverable? It's a video, right? A video walkthrough?
It's part of it. So it's like you're getting a Google Doc with the copy that you want and need to review, and having detailed feedback for it. And then I'm rewriting the most important, and I feel is the most important section that might be impeding the most on whatever goal you're trying to set. And then I have a 30-minute little video going over what I said so that you can have it, right? So all the changes, like if for whatever reason you just need context on a change,
Mm-hmm.
then that little video is there for you. Like you get to see why I made this change and you're understanding the thought process behind the change. So in turn, you can implement that in your writing next time, right?
Got you. So she thought it would be like a live coaching call.
Probably did. And I was like, well, so the expectations wasn't there. Well, I mean, I gave her a refund, and immediately once I realized, like, she was like, as soon as she asked me, I'm like, of course, like, there's no problem with that. I have zero problem with that. Wanted your money back there. I don't need the money. Like, I don't. Like, at $300, I don't need $300. Like, I'm perfectly happy to give it to you. It just stuck that the reason why she wanted it back is because she probably felt like I scammed her out of it, right? And I didn't even know until PayPal told me. It's like, oh, we're not releasing these funds. And I'm like, why? And I'm like, oh, she's requesting it back. And I was like, I didn't even realize she was doing that. And I was like, and I cried about it. I'm not gonna lie. Like I cried about it because it really sucked. Like it sucked because I'm like, here's this person who was probably excited to get this service. And she felt like she was cheated. She felt like she was scammed. And she might have been scammed before by other people. And that's the feeling I left her with. And that really sucked. I didn't like it. That wasn't the feeling I was trying to give her.
Yeah.
But, after that, I refined it and made sure it's super clear. Super clear. Like there's a lot. I took off Acuity. I'm not using it anymore. So now there has to be there's actual email exchanges for the booking to happen. Because I'm like, I'm not trying to ever have that miscommunication again. That's so. I don't care if it needs 4 emails to get to you to book. As long as you understand exactly what it is, I'm good with that. Because I know you're gonna love the deliverables. I know whoever it is I work with, they're going to love the deliverables. I know. So it's just I just want the expectations to be super clear. So whatever I need to do to make that clear.
You have so much integrity. And that was such a great learning experience. I mean, I'm sure it sucked, but this is what happens with new offers. Like crazy things go wrong. And so I need to hear these stories because I watch so many success stories and it's like, I came up with the offer, I put it into the world, now I make $1 million gazillion dollars a month. And that's all I see because I watch a lot of YouTube ads. I'm very advertised to, but these bumps need to be ironed through. So I'm glad you shared that story. And just to go back in time real quick, how did you get your first copywriting client? I mean, how did you make your first dollar? Yeah, so the whole thing. How did you make your first dollar as a copywriter?
My first client happened from a discovery call that I thought I bought to death. I cried after that first discovery call because it was that 150 times in the duration of that call. It was a 30-minute call, and it was a million times. Because she kept asking me if I knew all these. Now I know them, but they were all platforms meant for posting socials on professional business sites, like Hootsuite and the one that's on Facebook, I forgot what it's called. I think Facebook Business or Facebook something. Or and also with the Instagram one. And I was like, I don't know any of those. I didn't even know how to use Instagram all that well, to be honest. like in terms of like me doing it myself.
Yeah.
So if someone was asking me about the technicalities of it all, I'm like, I didn't. But yeah, somehow she was like, yeah, you got the job. And I was so excited. I'm like, dang, my first discovery call, but I got my first client out of
Oh
it.
wait, how did you
Well,
even get this lead? How did you even get that discovery call booked?
I was a lot more proactive in like posting my business like every. So like I had made a business statement. I had made I use my personal Facebook as kind of like my business Facebook, but I did make a business specific Instagram because I have an Instagram, like an old Instagram account, but it's like I never used it until I just switched it over to making it a business account.
Mhm.
And like, at least she found me through there. I was like talking about like email stuff and all that. So I don't know how she thought, oh, you can do social media. I'm like, it's like, but yeah, I had the job. It was like 50 bucks for like 6 posts or something. It was very, very rare. But what made it hard was that her entire brand was geared towards, it was like I think it was a Nigerian brand, right? So it was geared towards specifically like Nigerian adjacent people. Pidgin English was like a huge thing, for her brand. It was the designs on her shirt and everything. And it's like, I don't even understand Pidgin English to any degree.
Yeah.
It was like there were like phrases that I obviously did not know. And it's like I can't make posts in like in Pidgin English and Cantonese or Nigerian dialect if she could understand either of these. So I'm like, what am I supposed to do? It was crazy. I don't fault her though. Like it was just one of those bad fits. And it didn't
Yeah.
happen. It was just a bad fit. And I was like if she told me it was like an African American brand for the African American culture, I would have understood that. But
Mhm.
like I don't understand Nigerian culture at all. Even like I was trying to like it's like I definitely did my due diligence to try as much research as I possibly can. But because Pidgin English could be in so many different dialects because it's a mixture of a lot of different languages,
Yeah.
which is how it even came to be. I looked into the history of it, like how it came to be, like, so I'm just like, bro, I'm never gonna get this. Like I just knew, I'm like, I'm never gonna get this. Not to where she needs it to be. So it's just like, it is still like I kept having to ask her, like, what does this phrase mean? What does this phrase mean? What does this phrase mean? Because I'm like, Google Translate wasn't really gonna help you.
Yeah, not for
Google
Pidgin.
Google Translate works for like direct, like Webster dictionary type like languages. Like if they're in the if they're in the dictionary, like it's probably on you can translate. And even some of them are very like the most like not super well known languages. Like they probably don't even do like great translations for that either. So like
Yeah, and so how did you get through it and complete the project? And
I would tell her to give me kind of like an idea of what she was trying to post, and if there was any like Pidgin English specific things to let me know the underlying messaging of it,
Mhm.
so I can try my best. But really, it felt like it was more like social media management than anything, because I was like also in charge of like posting them for her and things like that, like setting them up to like post, for the timing and everything. So I was literally a whole social media marketer before I realized I was a social media marketer.
Yeah.
I was like, what are you doing? I hate it. It definitely turned me off from social media for quite some time. But then that good client brought me back, and I'm like, all right, I like this again. It's fine.
Yeah.
Okay.
Awesome. So you've made money even though it wasn't a fit. Social media managing, social media coaching, copy coaching, and copywriting. Is that all correct?
Oh, I'm also doing emails. So the same person I did the product descriptions for, that was like the first project because I was like an immediate need. And then after that, I became her regular email person. It was me doing the copy part. And then there was another person taking care of like the tech. It was like we were using Klaviyo and I didn't at all know how the hell it worked. So we had an email marketer who understood the mechanics of doing it, like putting it together, making it look pretty and all that. and I just provided the words. So we worked closely together a lot on that, and it was really fun. And we got to see the fruit of our labor, and it was pretty lit. Like we were making like, 'cause before we just increased email sales. That's all I got. We definitely increased email sales within a very short amount of time. It took about like you saw like results within the first month, but they just kept getting like progressively better before we ended up having to end, because it was like what I had in mind for my business wasn't in line with what they were looking for. Right. They were looking for more of an employee type of worker. And I was still like, I wanted to be a service provider. In that mindset, I wanted to be a service provider, but like as an equal to you, right?
Yeah.
Yes, you're outsourcing to me, but it's more like we're working with each other, not like I'm working for. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it was just But I mean, it was a great experience, hands down, really great experience. Got me up to speed on client relations super fast. Yes, I don't regret any of my clients, to be honest. Like except the one that made me like people press me, but that I could have done without.
Yeah, that sounded crazy.
I could have done without. I mean, he did teach me a lot. You know what? I take that back. I don't regret that either. It was a shitty experience. It was, he didn't treat me super well. The outcome was absolute trash, but I still learned a lot, and I don't regret it. Like I don't regret all the things he taught me. It was for email writing. He taught me a lot about client relations in terms of being an actual email marketer versus an email copywriter. He showed me that I was able to like pump out 22 emails in a day, which was pretty damn awesome.
Oh, that's incredible.
He showed me all the angles that I can use to do email copywriting for, which is pretty cool because I'm like definitely conceptualize emails a lot faster. So like, I really like this. I actually forgot about it until I remembered it like a couple of days ago. We had a whole document trying to through. So he told me a lot. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna front on that. He definitely told me a lot. It just sucks that he just wasn't who I thought he was.
Yeah, and that's heartbreaking when you look up to someone and then find out who they really are. So, yeah. But
I even had to block him on everything. I had to block him on because it was like that's so bad. It was like seeing his face felt like I don't want to use PTSD lightly, so I will refrain from that. But like a very similar feeling to that, like I would get like the pit of my stomach. God,
yeah.
If I saw him on Instagram, if I saw him on Facebook, if I saw him anywhere, I was just like, I just can't. Like I cannot. I had to like block him on everything.
And that's a natural reaction. If somebody has inflicted pain, when you see them again, you will feel that pain. So, yeah, for sure.
And that's a lot of pain in my life. But it was just like one of those things where it's like, you hurt me in something that mattered so much to me. Like, I think like this mattered so much to me. And he like stomped on it. Like, people can make fun of me. People could whatever. Like, if I get hit, whatever. Like, I don't even care about any of that. Like, you can. But it's like, don't take something I really care about and just crush it to death when I expected you to nurture it.
Yeah.
I thought you just gave someone a baby and then they just tucked it into the garbage. Like, that's cool. Like, that's how bad it felt.
But what's really cool is the perseverance. You didn't let it stop you completely. You may have like gone down a tailspin, but you came back and like you're like doing better than ever with a high paid job that you enjoy. So it worked out for you. And they said
having a supportive partner was like 100% absolutely. If he wasn't with me, if I wasn't with my partner during that time, it was getting dark and ugly. It was getting dark and ugly. So if he wasn't there, who knows? Who knows if I would have even gotten that.
And that's like a beautiful story too, because all I hear about is horror stories with partners destroying people, completely destroying people's lives. So I'm glad that you have like a good story of your partner actually helping you instead of kicking you when you're down. So that is just very refreshing to hear. All right, let's move into our last segment, going deeper, where we get to know our creator on a more human level. All right, so one of the things that drew me to you and your world is because you're neurologically atypical. You have ADD and other brain things, and you've been open about overcoming mental health challenges, but still you took on the responsibility of a full-time in-house job. Tell me like how you cope. and like some practical tips to like get your work done on time and still cope with your atypical brain?
So my job off the rip is like very like neuro-atypical friendly. Because like say if I get an assignment, like it's time-based only in the sense that it just needs to get done in that day. I don't care if it's 12 midnight, it just needs to get done that day. Because any edits that need to happen, anything that needs to be moved in the line of things, it just needs to happen before it's their time, which really helps because I'm like, when it comes to like time pinching and like some people we might work under that pressure, it just makes me anxious as hell and then I can't work like that. Like, oh, like here's this product that I just gave you. Like, can you have it to me by 5? Like, I cannot. You need to let me have the whole day because my energy level is just, and what they can stay sustainable, but they don't. So like some days I'm like, oh, I'm super productive from like 12 to 3, or oh, I'm super productive. Like, I woke up at 9 and I'm like, I'm good until like 1 o'clock. Or like, or sometimes it happens between 7 and 10 p.m. Sometimes that happens. And I'm like, well, but it's like, this job allows me to do my best work in any of those possible instances of like energy bursts. Like, so it doesn't have to be this is energy burst. Because like, I'm human and I'm a woman. Nothing's consistent. Like, what the fuck? And I understand. So like, so if I can get it done at 9 to 12, great. I can get it done at 1 to 3, great. I can get it done at 8 to 10 p.m., great. As long as it's done, it's done. So that super helps. I also do like, there's like a lot of things to together. Like, so I just took on this really big project. Whoa, it was my first big project at the job.
Yeah.
And it was so hard. Oh my God. So they gave it to me a week before I went on vacation. So that was fun. So I had to like, it was grueling that week before I left. Oh, I was like dying. Then I came back and I was like, oh, great, more dying. Like it was so much fun. And I was like, I know if I do not find some way to organize this shit, I'm going to miss something. And it's going to be like, this is the kind of product where like things cannot be missed. Things cannot be like nothing can be in this thing.
Yeah.
So like, this is my first base project. And it's like, it's a really big deal to the company. I'm like, I cannot mess this out. So what I did was any single inkling of the thing that was related to that project, I put in its own bookmark tab folder. So it was like, as soon as I went in, it's like, this is the name of the project. Everything related to the project is that folder. So I don't miss anything. All my copy docs are in there. All the slides are in there. All the PowerPoints I need to have. All the inspo related to that. I needed like everything. Like former pieces of set because it was a project that was done last year, but we're just doing it a whole new different way.
Yeah.
And like so any past copies that I had it in that folder. Like every single thing was in that folder. And that probably saved my life like so many times. Cause like I had so many tabs open, so many Slack conversations open. Like I was going insane. Like it was getting to the point where if it was like an 8-hour workday, 6 of those hours were like Slack conversations and confirmation getting and clarity getting. And I'm like, oh my God, it was so exhausting. So yeah, that little piece of organization saved my life because nothing was missed.
Yeah.
Everything was in its place.
That is awesome. And what do you do like on days where you have like brain fog or fatigue? How do you get yourself into the zone to write?
Showers. Just showers. I've heard somewhere that it's a really great like transition kind of thing. Other people can do like some other thing. They can have like water in their face, whatever. But for me, it needs to be like a full body shower because it's just like, it just makes you just like, I am raring to go. And it probably could just be my mind tricking me like from all the times like we had to go like in person and work. Like before you went to work, you showered. So it's like, it was already like a thing that happened. So I guess my brain never got out of that routine. So like when I shower, it goes into, I'm ready to work mode.
Nice. And do you do ice showers? Do you do ice showers?
Oh no, that's dumb. No, that water needs to be at least 80 degrees or above.
Oh my God. All right. You kind of covered this without covering this. I don't even think you answered this, but do you have a copy niche? Why or why not?
It's like, I'm in a niche not by choice. So, it was because it was the job that got me. But I'm currently in the software niche, software as a service, SaaS niche. And I'm like, it's so crazy because I thought I was going to despise it. I was actively avoiding it when I was
Mhm.
freelancing. It just looked so boring. And then I got hired at this SaaS company. I was like, well, but I ended up really liking it, and I still like it. Like sometimes it can be a little grueling than others, and I won't lie, because there's like I have creative control over a good deal of them, but there's some things where it's like it has to be written a certain way, and that way is boring. It's whatever, and it's like I don't have a say in it, and I'm like, but outside of that, like I've actually gotten so much more into tech in general since starting at this job. Like I'm currently, even though it's super slow moving, I'm gonna do it. I'm learning to, I'm prepping to take the AWS Cloud Practitioner certification. So I'm doing
Wait, what is it
I'm doing
called?
the
You got to
course,
repeat that for the non-techies like me.
Amazon Web Services, so AWS. It's one of the cloud services.
Gotcha.
So AWS Cloud Practitioner certification. It's like it's the fundamental one.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you can get a job in cloud with it, but it's like you get it. I need to have and it helps me to write better copy if I understand exactly what I'm actually writing about. Like I know what like the cloud is and like its benefits and stuff like that, but I don't really know, right? So this is just helping me really know it. And if I get a certification out of it, like why not? So yeah.
Oh, I
And then,
should
like
have done
before,
that. I wrote for SaaS and tech for like a year or 18 months. And I was writing like technical manuals. I was writing copy. I remember the one term that blew my mind was IoT, Internet of Things. And I still think that's a weird thing. I still don't fully know what it is, even though I wrote about it. But
I don't even know what that is.
yeah, and I was doing copy for this company that sold something to people who did something in space, and I wrote about it, but like I wasn't fully understanding like what it was, like telecommunications in space or like something like that. And then I did like I helped market courses to help people get their IT certifications. Like I know that AWS you mentioned sounded familiar, but and then there's like C+ programming language and like all that stuff. But anyway, I wish I would have been smart like you and been like, oh, let me sit down and get a certification so I actually know what the hell I'm talking about. So I got, like people were happy somehow with my SaaS copy, but I would have had an easier, more enjoyable time if I actually got a certification and had known what I was talking about. So
yeah, because sometimes I'll write it's harder for me to write the copy if I can't adequately translate it to say like a 10-year-old. Like if what I just read and I don't know how to humanize that and make it understandable for a 10-year-old, then it's like can't do it to the rest of the public. Like I just can't. So I'm trying to figure out a way to do that better. I've been getting super low with that because like our email sales are going great and I'm like, because I make the time. Because they're white before and I'm like, these are so difficult. I was like, this is jarring nonsense. I'm like, can we have some fun, please? Like, yes, let's.
that's awesome.
So,
and I'm curious, are you marketing a B2B SaaS or a B2C SaaS?
So they do both.
Okay, awesome.
Their primary audience is B2B though.
Oh, that's why it was all boring. I mean, it shouldn't be, but that's why.
Oh my God, it really shouldn't be. And I'm just like, organizations are run by people with human emotion.
I remember when I first heard that, it blew my mind. I used to think of B2B as like a human LinkedIn or something, but I read somewhere that businesses are made up of people, like human beings, and that just changed like my whole perspective. It was like this mind-blowing moment for sure.
When I used to do resume writing for people, right? I would have not only would I rewrite the resume, but I would also like design it like in Canva, make it pretty. And like people also like keep forgetting like recruiters are also people who have to read these resumes. If these resumes just look like the same technical whatevers as everybody else's resume, like what makes them stop to look at your resume? Like what?
Yeah.
Like if you were to print your resume, could you tell me you could print out your resume from a group of other resumes? Because if you can't give me a solid yes, what makes you think they can? They're going through hundreds of applications over and over and over. And after a while, you're just like,
but actually, that's tricky because you don't want to write too colorful of a resume because these days it's not a human recruiter doing it. You got to get past the bot that's scrolling your resume first, so it's got to be optimized for that bot.
You get the ATS friendly because like the ATS system is now like gotten better where like you can do like 2-column resumes. I've settled for the 1 column because I was still iffy about it. So I was like, yeah, I'm just sticking to the 1 column. But like, yeah, as long as you follow the same framework as a traditional resume, it's like the artistic component, so long as it's not like faces and like shapes kind of thing. Yeah, if that makes sense. Like on my resume, it's just like, okay, the header area, it's like my brand color, that's triple magenta with like my face in a circle, and then like a nice little face in a circle, and then it's like my little blurb, and then it's like dot 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 versus like just this boring in a straight line, and then it's like, but it's still following the same thing. So it's like education, and it's not in like black, it's in the navy blue that is my actual brand color. So it's just like, and then but it follows the same exact format, but it just looks a lot less boring.
Oh, that's awesome. That's really smart. That's personal branding, but without breaking things where like, you will get ignored. That's really awesome. I love that.
It's like as simple as just changing up a damn header color, like anything, like just something. Like, don't mess with the structure of an actual resume. You just mess with how it looks to a degree. Like, judge it up, like make some little things cap or something. But I also tend to I was also like making sure that these people knew, like, do you want a resume for the ATS system, or do you want resumes to email to people? Because I could make you both, or I could make you one. Because like, once if you're gonna email it to people, I could really make it. But if it's for the ATS system, it's like, it'll still be fine, just ATS friendly. So.
Yeah, and the best way to get a job is to be able to be without to skip over the ATS systems. Like how I got my job was I wrote down a list of companies. This was actually when I was a freelancer. I wrote down a list of dream clients, and then I reached out to like their chief officers and their marketing directors. So they were already in my LinkedIn network, and I was following companies on LinkedIn. Then I saw a company I was really interested in had a full-time position open. So I emailed the chief operating officer and was like, hey, we chatted a couple years ago about working together. I could fill this position for you. He's like, let me connect you with my marketing director. And so I skipped their application process. I didn't apply to the job, and they just asked me for writing samples, and I hopped on the phone with a couple people in the organization, and I got it. So I skipped the bot reading my resume because I went straight to the people. So that's a good way to get it too.
Exactly. It's a beautiful, and it's also like industry dependent too. Like, right? If we're copywriters, our entire career is built on creativity, right?
Oh,
so
right.
Like, you can't even be your damn resume, like bro, like what if you couldn't stop them to look at your resume, what makes you think you could stop them to look at an ad or an email, or you know what I mean?
What would you say are the pros and cons of being a freelance copywriter versus being an in-house copywriter? Like, say someone was trying to decide which path was for them. What are the highlights of each path, and what are the downfalls or obstacles of each path? Oh, and one more nuance to that question. What personality types fit best with each path?
If you're the kind of person who works best when they're given great direction, if you're the kind of person who likes consistency, like a consistency is a necessity for you, if you are the kind of person who wants stability without having to put so much work into that stability, then in-house is definitely the way to go. But if you are looking for 100% total control, if you're looking for a lot more creativity to be able to express however you want to do it, if you want to do more of what you feel like doing, knowing that it may lead to instability for a little bit or a long bit for some people, then freelance. And if you're able to, if you know that if it fails, that you can keep trying or try again without it heavily impeding on your way of life as it is now. So like if you're a mom with a kid and it's like, you might not be able to afford having that fall through, right? In-house would be a little bit better. You can do freelancing later on, right? But like, you're probably thinking more the stability matters first, which makes sense. Or if you have a mortgage, the stability matters first. But if you're someone like me who lives in a place like, it's very low rent, I have a partner, has like a dual, there's a dual income happening here. I don't have dependents. No one depends on me. So it's like, if I were to lose my job today, like the world is not going to crash, right? I could just be here, right? Or go to my parents' house or something, right? Like the world wouldn't end and no one would be heavily affected outside of me from me losing my job or losing that income, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and then what about hours and pay on the two different tracks? which track do you think yields more money, or in your experience more money, in-house or freelance? And then which one is more or less hours, in-house versus freelance?
Well, this is all going to be dependent on how good you can market yourself. I'm stuck at marketing myself. So like definitely the in-house pays more than what I think I could realistically make on my own if I were to go back to freelancing. I do think I could ramp it up a little faster than I did when I first started because it's like I know what to do now, but I can't as of right now. It's hard to fathom making more what I'm making as a freelancer. Definitely not saying it can't be done. It's just I know my limits and I know my weaknesses, unfortunately, and the weaknesses and my limitations and I have greatly impede on my ability to just skyrocket my freelance income as fast as I'd want to. And I need a lot of safety. I need a lot of security. I need a lot of I feel safe to do a lot of things. And but if you're the kind of person who just leap head first, give a damn, you might reach that 6-figure mark a lot faster, you know?
Yeah, so actually that's really interesting we need to highlight this. It depends on your personality type. So if you freeze under stress or, can't act when there's not the safety net or security there, then you actually, or if you just don't like to market yourself and you just want to focus on the writing, in-house may be better for you. But if you thrive under pressure and under risk and you don't need the safety net, and you can write fast. Actually, this is really important. I wish somebody would have told me this before I chose the path in the beginning. If you write fast, you can make more in freelancing. So you have to be willing to continue to market yourself. And let's say you're charging per project, you need to move those projects really quickly and turn them over to make that money. Whereas in-house, if you have a salary, as long as you get it done by the deadline, you're going to get paid the same amount, but your income goes up the faster you write as a freelancer. So think about your writing speed as well.
Exactly.
Oh, and then did you work more or less hours freelance versus in-house?
A lot less in-house. Freelance, it's crazy. It's you do so, especially when you're doing it out of fear, out of insecurity, and out of a lot of things, you're doing so much busy work that you don't realize is busy work. Mm-hmm. I was literally looking at my laptop what felt like 24 hours a day. It got to a point where I had to physically close my eyes and put my hands over my eyes because that's how much stimulation from staring at my laptop. That I've had breakdowns just from being on this laptop for so long, wondering what am I doing? That's how bad it was getting because it's just I could not get away from the busy work because I kept thinking the busy work would make me feel safe and it wasn't all. But this is also before, getting therapy and being consistent in that therapy. There was a lot of things I needed to get done first before starting a business. That's another thing I would heavily, heavily recommend. If you believe in therapy, which I would wish everyone did, right? I suggest working on your mental health before trying to be an entrepreneur.
Yes.
Because if you're an entrepreneur, there's going to be hella pitfalls. And if your mental state cannot handle the amount of those pitfalls, the amount of those pitfalls are going to fall all on you. You can't blame a boss. You can't blame a coworker. You're only going to have you, right? And that comes with a heavy price tag. Emotionally, it comes with a heavy price tag. So it's if you are not mentally equipped for that amount of accountability, not saying you're irresponsible, but if you're not ready for that accountability, mentally, emotionally, that needs to get handled before becoming an entrepreneur.
I wish I would have gotten this advice. What was it? 7, 8, whatever, how many years ago I started being an entrepreneur. I'm better now because I've been in therapy for 6 years and working on myself. But I would have had a whole totally different outcome if I had gotten the mental health care first before I became an entrepreneur. So that was some boss ass advice.
Hey,
thank you for that.
Hey, can I actually go into that? Because I feel like this is probably a lesser. So when you talked about, how or stories of people becoming entrepreneurs and their relationships kind of falling apart.
Yeah.
So, most people would assume oh, it's just, the husband feels inadequate because his wife's making more money or whatever. It's some weird thing like that. It's a power thing. But really, at least for me, and I don't know if this happens with other people or it has happened with other people. In the beginning, when I was getting really successful, I realized how much of my empathy was actually dissipating because I was so focused on like the success and so focused on the good feeling that it was of feeling successful. I actively tried to negate all possibilities of feeling negative, which that included hearing my friends talk about their problems,
Oh, yeah.
hearing my partner talk about his problems, being emotionally available for people who I cared about. That was becoming less and less. I was losing that ability. I was just like positive Patty all day. Like, yeah, you can do this. Like, oh, this isn't really like, I was disregarding people's actual struggles. I was disregarding their mental health. I was disregarding where they were in their lives because I was just on this high. But a lot of people do that. And they want to be like, well, like, I'm just self-loving. I'm like, there's such thing as too much self-love. If it means that you're literally disregarding everybody else around you, that's not self-love anymore. That's called egotism. Egotisticalness. That's what it is. And it's like, it can easily turn into that. It's not about people being jealous of you. It's not about people wanting you to fail. It's about you becoming an empatheticless asshole because you just want to feel good all the time and never feel anything else other than that. It's not healthy. It's not normal. It's not okay to feel happy every second of your life. If you're doing that, I would be worried. I would be worried if you're feel good like every day and nothing's like affecting you at all. I would question that a little bit. I'm just like,
see, that's interesting because I used to pay crazy amounts of money for seminars, and in the seminar life, I haven't done the seminars in forever, and found out a lot of those people on stage are not who they say they are. That's a story for a different day. But anyway, they really teach that positivity, and they say if anybody is negative or have problems, kick them out of your life. You don't need their negativity, and they really do hammer you need to feel amazing all of the time, and anybody bringing you down with their complaining or their suffering, you brush them aside. That's pretty much what they taught that.
A lot of people in the coach area do a lot of that. And I'm just like, you're negating like actual mental health disorders. You don't know anybody's life. So it's like, it's like, so it's just lacking that empathy. Like if I was like a coach spewing this positivity nonsense, I could be speaking to a domestic violence victim still in that relationship with a whole kid to worry about. I can't just sit there and be like, you can do it. Like, persevere, like, don't let anybody hold you down and whatever. Like, that's not empathetic at all. That's not understanding them at all. That's not meeting them where they're at all. It's just you wanting to just be in your cognitive bubble and not wanting to set up. That's what it is. That's what that is. And it's not helpful. It's not helpful to anyone who needs you to be there in it, like with them in that moment, to meet them at where they're at in that moment.
Yeah, and then not every person, but then it results in a lot of victim blaming. Like a lot of coach type personalities, they blame people for feeling bad, for being depressed, or for being poor, or for not having a perfectly productive day. But it could be a health issue. It could be a mental health issue. They could be poor because they inherited debt from something, or because of something systemic. There's just like so many factors. Life is so much more complicated than some people make it out to be.
Tax. I've definitely worked, and I struggle with this every day. Because, we all like to think that we're right in everything we say. Naturally, it's just what we do. But, I definitely work on if I ever try to give advice or ever say anything out my mouth, I try my hardest to say it without making it sound like I'm assuming the other person's position. Like I'm assuming that this is the best thing for them, or assuming that this is what they need to do to be successful. And it's just like, I feel, right? Because I'm my father's daughter, and that's how he's looking. So I'm just like, it's either my way, it's either the right way or your way. So, and it's just, so I try my best to, if I'm helping someone in something that they need, I try my best to give the most unbiased help, the most unjudgmental help.
See, I need to work on that just because my personality and delivery, I deliver things very emphatically and certainly without taking into consideration that person's situation. I'm getting better in one-on-one conversations, and I don't give direct advice. I show pros and cons and whatever, but I talk a lot to a camera and to a microphone. And so I don't want to be like that mom, that parenting person you said when you kicked off, and she's like, you need to do this and you need to do that. I do try to watch it, but I do speak in certainties and emphaticness. So yeah, this is a really good like a good thing for creators. As creators, we're putting our opinion out there and our advice. So try to add some empathy. Actually, I'm not going to tell you. If you feel called to it, add some empathy to your delivery and advice given. But if you want to keep being an asshole, you're free to do that too. So what is something you would love to be invited to do or take part in?
I've never been to like a copywriting / marketing event. I didn't want to, but like part of me is like really hesitant because I feel like I'm not entirely sure if there would be enough people that vibe with how I use copywriting versus how they, you know, like I would, like, I don't want to, like with direct marketers, like I get the whole set, like there's a lot of great direct marketers, but like there's also a lot that are just, they use that shame, they use that fear, they use that guilt. And it's like, what if that's the majority at these events and I'm scared to go to one of them? And it's like, it's just a bunch of people who are just perfectly happy saying whatever needs to be said to make a sale. And I'm just like, oh my God.
Oh, I haven't been yet, but one of my other guests had the same wish. She's like a empathetic, sensitive person, and she's like, I want to go to a Copywriters Club event in person. And Rob and Kira have this group, the Copywriters Club. That's where I met a lot of my copy friends. I haven't been to Copywriters Club in real life. That's what the event is called. But those copywriters are so sweet and so empathic and just so conscious, and so are Rob and Kira. So if you end up getting advertisements for the Copywriter Club in real life, is what it's called, I would go to that. One day I want to go to that because I love the people I met through Rob and Kira's Facebook group. So in person, it would be even better, I'm sure.
If you ever find one that's happening, you better shoot that link over.
I will DM you. And what is a personality trait or habit you would like to develop?
It's weird that it's hard because I'm like, I don't want it to be like, oh, there's nothing wrong with me. I don't have anything. Like, hey, if any, I would like to develop the ability to get my ideas across verbally in a much more concise way. Like, I feel like I tend to like do that, but sometimes like I get like nervous, like bumble. So I'm gonna work on being a bumbler.
Nice. You just well, mumble rap is a whole niche of rap that makes a lot of money. So if you fumbling and bumbling, maybe you're gonna be a star.
I understand it. I sound like a boomer. Got to understand.
I don't do that mumble rap either, but it is very popular.
And I think people would feel the same. Like I listen to like heavy metal, and it's like they're singing, but it's like I can't really understand the words.
So wait, do you listen to Rammstein?
I don't know that.
Oh my gosh, they used to
like Valentine and like as I which interesting.
See, Rammstein was my favorite metal group. Back when I liked Rammstein, Tool is like on the cusp of alternative in metal, but I liked Rammstein, Tool, Nine Inch Nails, and Marilyn Manson. But if you like metal, check out Rammstein. It's metal in German. Rammstein. Rammstein.
Oh, are they like German?
They are German, and they sing in German, but it's so good. I feel
like all the, it's funny. I really like Boulevard Mountain, and they're like Welsh. Like maybe just all the good bands come from. They feel like in that area.
Maybe. Yeah.
They just almost the same way. I think like him. I don't know what happened to that, but I think from England or some what those Germans. He should be popping out some good metal rock bands too.
Oh, see, I used to listen to Asian pop music even before K-pop was popular. I haven't heard Asian metal. I feel like I like German. I like German rap. I like German metal. French rap is good. French R&B is good.
French rap.
Yeah, I used to make mixed CDs with like all my French rap and my German stuff, and yeah, now it's YouTube. You got to look it up.
So.
And second to last question, if someone who is considering becoming, actually, it's going to be a two-part question. If someone who's considering becoming an in-house copywriter asks you for advice, what would you tell them?
If you are very new to the game, get comfortable with saying the phrase, I'm happy to learn, willing to learn. Don't just leave it at, I don't know. Don't leave it as, I don't have experience. Switch it around to say, I'm willing to learn, and definitely prepare for the interviews. Look for all the questions. I forgot the way I did it, but if you Google, like you can actually find the specific questions certain companies, like say you're applying for a company, you can actually look for the questions that that company
Oh,
asks.
Glassdoor. You can find it on
Right.
Glassdoor. Yeah.
There you go. Right. So you can just look up those specific questions. So when you're prepping, like you already know the questions to some degree. Yeah.
That's some great
That's
advice.
one.
And then if somebody, you already kind of gave this advice, but if somebody was looking to start a copy business as a freelancer and they came to advice, what advice would you tell them? You've already said get your mental health taken care of first, and that was great advice. Is there any other advice you would add?
Just saying because they all stem from that. They all stem from that same thing. Find a process that really works for you. So like block out the world noise, block out all the master classes, drop all the noise, and think about what actually works for you, what is realistic for you to do. Do not try to meet the expectations of people who do not know and who do not know you, because it's always going to come out shitty. And you're going to feel shitty because it's not going to work. What works for them may not work for you. So just find what works for you. Just find it. Or if you want to look at other people's processes, pick the things out of that process that you like. You don't have to do their whole process. You can just pick things you like from that process. I like this part of the process, or this part of their process. You mingle it into one whole process that's not your process. You make a process baby.
Process baby. It sounds like a hot dog to me. You know how the different types of meat are put together? But
well, I was thinking like process polyamory, they all intermingle, and now there's a process baby.
Oh my gosh, yours is definitely hotter, but I was thinking like in the factory, you take all these processes or meat together and then you have a hot dog. Like yours is better, it's more poetic. And last question, who would you like to see me interview on business models for creators?
Honestly, Alan from Nothing Held Back would be really awesome. But I feel like he's like way too. No, there's nothing wrong with him, but I think he's a pretty big name. So I don't know what his feelings are towards like going on podcasts. I've never seen him act like, I've never caught a post of him writing about them, but I think seeing him on a podcast would be pretty cool.
Awesome. What's the name of the Facebook group again? Nothing Held Back?
Yes.
I need to join the group anyway because it sounds pretty lit. So
yes, no, I'm telling you, nothing but gems. It's like I'm in like so many copywriting groups. This is hands down like, because you got people ranging from like the noobs to people who are like been in the game a while and have done a number of things for a while. They've tried everything, nailed at a lot of things. Like it's just a wild amount of golden nuggets. Any single post can give you like a holy shit, I didn't think about that moment. Like that's that kind of group.
Dang. Yeah, I'm definitely going to jump in that group. And also I may find other people in that group that I want to interview. I've been very copywriter heavy. I've only had a couple creators who were not copywriters. So I need to diversify. But this season 1 has been very writer heavy, very copywriter heavy.
Definitely like I'd love to see a code. So one who works specifically with funnels. But yeah, like just funnels, coaching.
Oh, and when we first recorded, you gave me an amazing idea and I told it to other people and they are so waiting for this. But the first time we recorded this, so when they got ruined by tech, you were saying how you were into video games and you were talking about the plot of The Last of Us or something like that. And I was like, I want to have somebody on who writes video games or someone who designs video games. And people are like, I want that episode. So I definitely have to do that.
I wanted to see like the whole process of like making like all these extra voices for all the action. Because like you know like The Witcher, like everyone says something different. Like, oh, the road fits.
Wait, was The Witcher a video game? Was The Witcher a video game? I thought it was just a show.
No, they have a video game. Well, I've only played the last Witcher. The Witcher 3. So there's 2 more, and there's probably like other ones that I haven't heard of. But I only played The Witcher 3, and it's super lit, and there's so many people, and it's like everybody says something, and it's just wild. Like who wrote all this dialogue, bro? Like
Wow, and I
Oh.
wouldn't have known if it wasn't for you that The Last of Us was a video game, because again, I thought it was just a show. But my brothers are really hardcore gamers, and when I was a kid, I was a Nintendo and Sega Genesis and Atari gamer. But I'm into it because like my brothers are into it, and I used to like games when I was young. But now it's so much more developed. Like I like Sims, even though that's still on the older side, and like I like the Lara Croft, Tomb Raider, Resident Evil. So I think that was
You
super
played
NES.
the old.
See, that's the new stuff to me. The oldest Sonic the Hedgehog and Mario Brothers, Lara Croft and Resident Evil and Sims are new. But now it seems even more newer. So I want to interview some people and get to know it.
Yeah.
But anyway, if people want more Ashley Campusano, where can they find you?
KitKatCopy.com. That's KitCatCopy.com. Flash though, because I don't think on new client, but Flash copy dash makeover, one word. You could definitely find more about that service on there, and I would love to do it for you. So please make it. Or message me if you have any question.
Awesome. What's your email address if somebody wants to message you?
KitKatCopy@outlook.com.
KitKatCopy@outlook.com, right? Awesome. Well, thank you for listening, Creator Kings and Queens. I hope that you learned something new. And until next time, keep creating.